Oversight Subcommittee meeting with an FBI official. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib brought up the issue of death threats and how she has been targeted specifically because of her Muslim background. And this video was really difficult to watch as a woman who knows what it's like to constantly be attacked and deal with specific threats of violence. And just the inaction that we've seen on a federal level, the inaction that we've seen with the FBI is really frustrating. And here she is kind of calling that out during the hearing. Take a look.
I've been in office for about 6 months. And when you get something like this attention, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and ragheads Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, I was totally excited and pleased when I heard about 49 Muslims were killed and many more were wounded in New Zealand. This is a great start. Let's hope and pray that it continues here in the good old USA. The only good Muslim is a dead one. How is that enough? Not enough to fall under domestic terrorism if they're targeting solely based on my faith and others and saying that a good Muslim is a dead one, obviously directed to me. By the way, they copied in this threat to my office. They copied the US Department of Justice, the President, Department of Homeland Security, and so forth. And we get so many of them, and I keep asking, what happens? What happens to these individuals? Are they, I'm being sincere. I'm not trying to, I'm really sincere. I'm a mother, so I want to go home to my 2 boys.
The FBI official that she's speaking to is Michael McGarity. He is the assistant director of the FBI's counterterrorism division. So he is the exact person that you'd want to ask these questions to. And I give her a lot of credit because it takes a lot of courage to call these people out and put yourself out there, especially when you're in a very vulnerable state. But I think a lot of people in this country right now can relate to what she just said. Knowing that you're a target of violence, watching all of these hate crimes happen, and feeling like there's no real justice.
Mm-hmm. Right. And as an Arab Muslim, this also hits really close to home, hearing her and hearing so many stories of my fellow colleagues that are just unbelievably identical. When I was interning for a congressman, literally when 9/11 had happened from September 2001 to December 2001, the threat of anthrax was in the office, so the mail had to be processed in another room. I remember another constituent calling in and finding out about my Arab Muslim background and accusing me of potentially about to send anthrax to her.
Wow.
And lo and behold, what do we find out? It was white men who were behind it, and the first thing that we thought on our minds was that Muslims and Arabs were behind this. And so there was an aggressive attack, there were Patriot Acts that were passed. And again, we find time and time again that the real threat is not being addressed. And we have to go on, and women like Rashida Tlaib and AOC and Ilhan Omar are gonna be the recipients of these death threats. And it's remarkable to even think that they've been there for 6 months, because it seems like they've done so much more to elevate narratives that were so long suppressed. And I'm just really concerned of how they're gonna be protected.
So let's take a look at how McGarity responded to Tlaib's questions.
So first, my empathy. I'm in charge of domestic terrorism and international terrorism. I don't differentiate either when the threat comes in, nor does the FBI. We work on both the same.
And I appreciate that, and I hear that throughout your testimony. It's very consistent, Mr. McGarity, but how come we don't have enough tools right now to pull these people up in? Because this is a format, and you can see there's a pattern.
Well, there's 2 parts to that. So I can tell you, the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, we are working hard, as was said earlier. We are working hard. If there's another statute that you think is needed, come talk to the Department of Justice, absolutely. I mean, I think they've said that during the last testimony back in May.
Yeah, go talk to the Department of Justice, with William Barr as its leadership. I'm sure that'll be great. I'm sure that they're really gonna do something about this immediately. There are no answers because this country has really failed in protecting certain groups of people. In fact, this administration has made a point to avoid protecting certain groups of people and demonize and antagonize certain groups of people simultaneously. So it's We need better. We need better. We need to elect the right leadership in this country because we're not seeing it with the Trump administration. We haven't seen it with previous Democratic administrations. And so we can't have more of the same. That's my only answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's fascinating to see this testimony from a guy at the FBI. I mean, the FBI was built by a guy named J. Edgar Hoover, who was in power for decades, who more or less built the bureau as an instrument to suppress domestic dissidents. Most of them Black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Muslim, through all kinds of underhanded tactics. It continues right on to this day. They're surveilling Black Lives Matter groups. They're entrapping young Muslim kids. It's just the FBI is such a profoundly corrupt organization at its very core from the very beginning that it's almost impossible to imagine them sort of behaving in any way that it would be anything close to being just.
Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.